Has anyone ever gently told you that life in your 80s might feel more like endurance than ease? It's not something most people are prepared to say out loud, but many quietly understand. Aging doesn't always arrive wrapped in serene mornings and carefree wisdom. Sometimes it comes wearing the weight of unsteady legs and unexpected fear. You've come a long way, raised families, built legacies, weathered storms, but once you cross that invisible line into your 8th decade, things around you begin to shift. And unless you're living through it, those changes are hard to describe. Your reflection may stay familiar for a while, but your energy, your independence, your memory, they begin to thin like paper left out in the rain. There's something no one prints in retirement guides or mentions at birthday dinners. This stage of life can challenge you in ways you didn't anticipate. It's not only about the physical, it touches your emotions, your thoughts, even your soul. This video isn't here to scare you. It's here to honor you, to say out loud the things many older adults quietly carry, because naming what's happening doesn't make it worse, it makes you stronger. Today we're going to talk about 7 honest realities of life after 80. Each one matters. Each one deserves your attention, not to instill fear, but to give you a deeper sense of strength and clarity. Because facing the truth isn't pessimistic, it's powerful. Reality number 1. The circle grows smaller. When you're in your 80s, the phone rings less. Not because people forgot you, but because some of them simply aren't here anymore. The hardest part of growing older isn't always the body, it's the quiet disappearance of your community. Friends who used to call every week no longer do, not out of neglect, but because they've passed on or moved away. Even family becomes harder to reach as their own lives grow busier, more complicated. It's not always death. Sometimes it's just distance, neighbors shifting to care homes, friends no longer able to drive, kids wrapped in careers and caretaking their own children. That Tuesday coffee date, gone. That familiar Sunday phone call after church, silent. And the silence doesn't just affect your schedule, it echoes inside, it can shake your identity. You begin to notice that fewer people know your stories, fewer recognize the strength you once carried, and on certain mornings you may wonder if you didn't get out of bed, would anyone notice? This kind of loneliness isn't just about being alone in a room, it's the sense of slowly fading from the picture of others' lives. But here's what matters, even now you can plant new roots. Some older adults join local reading clubs not because they love the books, but because they need the people. Others build small habits of connection, waving to the mail carrier, chatting with the same cashier at the store. These small gestures create new patterns, gentle bridges between today and tomorrow. One man, Harold, 83 and a former mechanic, started volunteering at a food pantry, not because he needed something to do, but because he wanted to be seen, and heard, and needed. He said the best part of his week was being asked how his day was, because it reminded him he still mattered. If you're watching this and you felt the sting of isolation, that ache when your world grows quieter, you're not imagining it. It's one of the hardest parts of aging. But there is healing in naming it. There is strength in reaching for connection, even if it looks different now. Your story isn't over, and someone, somewhere, still needs to hear what you have to say. Reality 2. The body's quiet resistance. Once you pass 80, your body doesn't just slow down, it starts negotiating. One morning you wake up and your joints feel fine. The next, your hips whisper a protest with every step. It's not a dramatic collapse. It's the small, strange surprises. A stiff back, a lost appetite, a night of sleep that ends at 2 a.m. You may have thought your strength would fade in a straight line, slowly and predictably. But the truth is, your body becomes less consistent. Your digestion, once reliable, starts reacting to food you've eaten for 40 years. You lie awake at night wondering, is this just a momentary change or something permanent? Should I worry or wait it out? This lack of certainty becomes emotionally draining. You might look fine to others, you're still making your meals, folding laundry, walking to the mailbox. But they don't see how carefully you time things now, planning around the hours when you feel strongest, skipping breakfast to avoid reflux, sitting just to steady your heartbeat. These are invisible choices, but they are real. And that's the hidden part of aging. You don't always feel worse, but you do feel more fragile. One day you feel vibrant, hopeful. The next day exhausted for no clear reason. And that roller coaster can mess with your sense of control. It's not about weakness, it's about change. You're still the same person, just walking with more caution, more care, more listening to what your body whispers. But here's something powerful. Routines can ground you. They don't fix everything, but they bring steadiness. Drinking warm lemon water each morning, sitting near a window for natural light, stretching your hands before bed. These aren't small things. They're acts of partnership with your body. They tell your system, I'm still here, I'm still trying, and that effort counts. If you've made it this far in the video and these truths are resonating with you, please comment number 2 below. It lets us know you're still with us, and it helps others see they're not alone either. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a good time to do that. We've got more to explore, and your support truly makes a difference. Reality number 3. A social world that quietly slips away. One of the more difficult realizations after turning 80 is how quickly your social world changes, not always through loss, but through gradual disappearance. Conversations you once had regularly fade away. People stop returning calls. The rhythm of connection slows until it feels like you're dancing alone to music only you can hear. A man named Eugene, who's now 85, told me something that stuck with me. I used to have 4 people I'd talk to every week. Now I'm lucky if I hear from one. It's not that people stop caring. It's that the pace of their lives picks up and yours, naturally, has slowed down. Children you raised become grandparents themselves, juggling schedules you're no longer a part of. It's not malicious, it's just life-shifting lanes. What begins as occasional missed calls turns into missed birthdays, holidays that feel more like background noise than family celebrations. You scroll through old photo albums, not because you're stuck in the past, but because it's where the warmth still feels familiar. Because new memories are harder to come by when fewer people are creating them with you. Even when you want to participate in social life, your body might have its own plans. Driving at night becomes more intimidating. Hearing in loud environments grows difficult. Getting ready for even a small event may take the effort of a marathon. So sometimes, even if invited, you choose to stay home, not because you don't want to go, but because the cost outweighs the joy. And that decision, made for good reason, can lead to something deeper, a sense of being forgotten. The less you're seen, the less people seem to reach. It's a cycle. When you become quieter, the world becomes quieter in return. But that silence can be heartbreaking, not because you need noise, but because you still need to feel seen. Still, even in that shrinking social space, you can plant seeds. 1 or 2 intentional relationships can fill a room with light. That could be a neighbor who walks with you once a week, a younger friend who calls to ask about a recipe. You don't need dozens of people. Sometimes one person who truly sees you is enough to change everything. Writing letters, offering stories, saying yes to a walk you almost said no to. These are not small acts. They are ways of reminding the world and yourself that you're still here, that you still have laughter to share and kindness to give, that your presence, even in a quieter circle, still has weight and worth. Reality number 4. Carrying a lifetime of goodbyes. By the time you reach your 80s, loss isn't just an occasional visitor, it becomes part of your everyday landscape. The ache of losing those you love doesn't always roar. Sometimes it hums quietly beneath your steps. It's not just one goodbye, it's many. Friends from your childhood, brothers or sisters you laughed with, perhaps even your lifelong partner. That kind of grief is layered. It's not just about who is gone. It's about what their absence takes with them. Shared stories, inside jokes, the sound of someone calling you by a nickname no one else uses. Suddenly, you become the only keeper of certain memories, and that role, while sacred, is also heavy. Imagine being the only one who still remembers the scent of your grandmother's kitchen, the voice of a friend singing off-key, the look in your partner's eyes when they danced with you in the living room. Those moments still live in you, but you carry them alone now, and that loneliness can feel like standing in a room full of shadows. A gentleman named Frank, who just turned 88, once shared, "I still hear my wife's voice when I forget what I walked into a room for. She used to tease me about it, and now I catch myself smiling at the silence, pretending she's still there." These habits of remembrance are both beautiful and heart-wrenching. They keep love alive, even in the absence. There's also the silent guilt, survivor's guilt. You might ask yourself, why am I still here? Maybe you wish you'd made that last phone call, or held a hand longer. These thoughts are common, but they can gnaw at your peace if left unspoken. It's not your fault, it's part of the cost of living long and loving deeply. But here's what no one says enough. Being the one who remains is an honor. It means you are the storyteller now. You are the bridge between what was and what still can be. When you speak of those who are gone, you breathe life into their memory. You remind the world that they mattered and that you still do too. So if you find yourself sitting in silence and feeling the weight of all you've lost, know this: grief may walk beside you, but it does not get to define you. You are still building meaning, still giving, still witnessing beauty in small places, and someone out there needs to hear your story because it might help them carry their own. If this part of the message has resonated with you, please comment number 4 below. It helps us know you're here and that you're part of this quiet but powerful community of strength. And if you haven't subscribed yet, consider doing that now so you never miss these important conversations. Let's keep going. Reality number 5. When independence gets quietly taken, there's something subtle that begins to happen after 80, something that doesn't always come with a warning. People around you, often with the best intentions, begin to take pieces of your independence. It starts slowly. A daughter insists on doing your shopping. A grandson reprograms your phone without asking. A nurse changes your bedtime routine because it's easier this way. You might still feel capable, sharp in thought, steady in decision-making, but others begin to see your age before they see your ability. That's what hurts the most. Not the help, but the assumption that you need it without being asked. It's as if the years you spent taking care of others suddenly vanish, replaced by a gentle but firm belief that you can't be trusted to care for yourself anymore. A woman named Ruth, age 86, told me about how her son started rearranging her kitchen to make it safer. She laughed and said, "I couldn't find my tea bags for 3 days." But the smile faded when she added, "He meant well, but I wish he had just asked." That's the heart of this reality. Even love, when delivered without respect, can feel like control. The truth is, no one wants to feel micromanaged in their own home. And after a lifetime of making your own choices, from what to cook for dinner to how you organize your closet, having those decisions taken away can feel like losing a part of yourself. It's not about being stubborn. It's about maintaining the dignity of autonomy. But here's what you can do. Speak up. Set gentle boundaries. Let the people around you know that while you appreciate their care, you still want to be included in decisions. You still want to be the one who decides what kind of socks to wear or when to take a walk. These choices may seem small to others, but to you they are everything. One gentleman, Maurice, age 85, said that reclaiming his morning walk, even if it was just up and down his driveway, gave him back a sense of self. It wasn't about the exercise, he said. It was about reminding myself I still had a say. And that's exactly what this truth is about. Not resisting help, but making sure your voice still leads the conversation about your life. Reality number 6. The weight of long-term grief. After 80, grief no longer arrives in sudden, sharp moments. It becomes a low, steady presence, a quiet companion to your day. You start to notice that the people who once filled your life aren't just away, they're gone. Friends you grew up with, the ones you raised children alongside, the ones who made you laugh until you cried, all slowly disappear. This kind of loss doesn't always break your heart in loud ways. It lives in the space between things, in the seat across from you at the dinner table, in the empty side of the bed, in the pause before you tell a story and realize the only person who'd remember it isn't here to hear it anymore. And that's where the ache settles, not just in the loss itself, but in the realization that no one else remembers those pieces of your life. One woman, Beatrice, now 87, shared something quietly powerful. Some mornings, she said, I still set out 2 coffee cups. I don't know why. Maybe just habit. Or maybe hope. That moment, where memory meets habit, is where many older adults live every day. Not in despair, but in deep, enduring tenderness. There's also the invisible pressure to keep going. People expect you to be used to it by now. But loss doesn't work that way. It doesn't leave just because years pass. It changes shape, becomes softer, yes, but never quite leaves. And carrying that kind of quiet sorrow every day requires a strength few understand. What helps? Staying open. Not to replace the people you've lost, that's impossible, but to let new voices in even if they don't know your history. A neighbor who brings soup. A young friend who asks about your childhood. A book club that welcomes your thoughts. These aren't substitutes, they're new pages in a story still being written. So if your heart feels heavy with unspoken grief, don't hide it. Don't feel guilty for still missing someone after decades. Love doesn't expire, and neither does the ache when it's gone, but neither does the joy that can still come in surprising and sometimes small ways. Let yourself feel both. That balance is where life after loss continues to breathe. If you're still watching and these words are reaching your heart, please comment number 6 below. Let others see that they're not alone in carrying what you carry. And if you found this video meaningful, subscribing helps us bring more truth, comfort, and connection to people just like you. Let's keep going. Reality Nusha 7, Learning to Walk with Fragility. Perhaps the most humbling truth you come to face after 80 is your own vulnerability, not just in grand, dramatic ways, but in the tiniest of moments. Standing up from a soft chair, reaching for a mug from the cabinet, stepping out of the tub with caution. It's not that you feel old every minute, it's that your body now whispers where it once remained silent. It's those whispers that can shake your confidence. You find yourself measuring your steps differently, choosing shoes with better grip, leaving the house only during daylight. You begin making decisions based not on desire, but on safety. And slowly, your world begins to shrink, not out of fear, but out of necessary caution. But fragility isn't weakness. It's experience speaking. It's your body gently saying, let's be mindful now. It's not the end of movement. It's the beginning of a wiser kind. I remember a woman named Linda, 85, still as sharp as a tack, who once told me, I earned every wrinkle, every scar, and even the limp in my walk. It's proof I've survived what many haven't. And that's a truth worth holding. Being careful doesn't mean being broken. Needing assistance doesn't mean you failed. It means you've loved, lived, lost, worked, cared, and now your body is asking you to treat it with the same tenderness you've given others. You don't have to prove anything. You just have to keep showing up with grace. Some people try to hide their limitations, insisting they're still as strong as ever. But strength after 80 looks different. It looks like using a cane when needed without shame, like taking breaks without apology, like knowing that what matters most isn't doing everything, it's doing what matters with intention and pride. Tools help. So do good habits. Asking for a hand, slowing your pace, and building routines that work with your body instead of against it. These aren't signs of defeat, they're signs of adaptation. And those who adapt, who work with their changing bodies instead of against them, often stay independent longer than those who refuse to acknowledge the shift. Growing older past 80 isn't about pretending things are easy. It's about choosing to face hard things with open eyes and an open heart. It's about living with dignity, not denial. You don't have to smile all the time. You don't have to pretend loss doesn't hurt or that your body doesn't feel different. What you can do, and what matters deeply, is to live honestly with self-compassion and courage. You are not invisible. You are not just someone who used to be. You are still becoming, in small but meaningful ways. Your stories, your wisdom, your laughter, your quiet persistence, they all still carry weight. You still make a difference, even if it feels smaller than it used to. And there's power in knowing that. So take care of your thoughts. Let yourself feel the loneliness, but don't let it define you. Speak your truth with tenderness. Let your generosity shine even when your energy dims. Give love in new ways. Accept help with grace. And keep choosing to live with pride, even when your pace slows. Because no matter how fragile the body becomes, your presence still radiates something no one else can offer. You've lived through decades of change, challenge, heartbreak, and joy, and you're still here. Still wise. Still valuable. Still worthy of love and light. And if you've made it this far in the video, I'd like to invite you to leave a photo in the comments. It's our way of celebrating you, of recognizing the strength it takes to keep growing, to keep caring, to keep showing up when life doesn't always make it easy. That kind of strength is rare, and it's beautiful. Thank you for spending this time with us. If this video gave you something to think about, something that helped you feel seen, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, leave a comment, or share this with someone you care about. You are not alone in this journey, and we're honored to walk with you every step of the way.